Hello and welcome to tonight's evening of the Female Expansionist Collective. I am here with the absolutely incredible Jana Martinez, and before I introduce her to you, I just wanted to come on and say hi to everybody. How is your week going? And make sure you stay tuned because I have just learned that we have a special surprise on tonight's episode. And I am just so excited. So, Jana, thank you so much for being here. Would you mind introducing yourself, letting everybody know who you are? For anybody who is new to my world, my name's Lauren Lindsay, and I'm the host of this collective series. It has been absolutely incredible, and I can't wait for tonight. So, how are you?
Thank you, Lauren. So excited to be here. I've been waiting for this. You know, we planned this a few weeks ago, and I was just like, oh my gosh, this is so exciting. First of all, I love you. And so the opportunity to be in your world with your people is just so amazing to me. So thank you for having me. What I do is I actually lead heart-driven professionals to tap into their inner genius, radiance, and true potential to create magic. I am an accelerated learning and sound healing expert. And I know that sounds very weird, but I bring in accelerated learning techniques and sound to create transformation and to help people live their most amazing lives. And yeah, it's kind of weird.
I don't think it is though, you see, and I'm saying that and that's coming from me, and I think a lot of people would possibly call me weird, but the way I look at weirdness is it's always about something that we don't understand. And for me, when I started looking into sound healing, and I don't know enough to be speaking about it, but I do know my own experience with it. I know my own experience through, I have my own little, you can't see them. Can you see them there just in the corner? My own little sound bowl behind my plant.
You have your bowl? Oh, yeah. There you go. Oh, yeah, now I see the bowl. Yes. Yeah.
So I've been playing around and it's something I want to learn more about. But I know there is such a healing vibe that comes through it. And I can't wait to actually tap more into it and you share your expertise because I am open ears. This is absolutely incredible. And the work that you do is, like you just said, is transformational. And because it's not so out there, sometimes we can turn a blind eye, but I'm honestly, anybody, if this is something that relates to you as we go through this episode, please look into it for your own benefit, but also because the whole point in these episodes are to expand our mind, they're to open up and to learn new ways. And truly, I know it's the same with the exercise as well. Exercise, sound, movement, all of these for me are all kind of where I really want to focus. So I'm so excited to hear what you have to say. But first, I would just like to ask you, what does the term expansion mean to you?
Oh my God, the first thing that comes to me, it's growth and opening up to a place where we receive everything without any judgment. We just let it flow. Because when we get to that point, we're able to literally get unleashed, be free. We're either growing and expanding or contracting. Mm-hmm. And expansion for me is that thing, accepting new things, being open, looking at life with the eyes of a child, right? With just an awe of like, oh my gosh, like everything is new. And when we do that, when we begin to connect to our inner child, our inner genius, we begin to give ourselves permission to look at life from different angles in a different way and allowing ourselves to let go of the filter that was programmed into our being. And so we begin to see new things or life in a way that we maybe not had seen it before because of our programming. Because we all come with what I say, the you know, when you get a computer, it has like a basic programming. And I feel like we all have that, depending on what country we were born in, not only what country, even what family, if you're a woman or if you're a man, if you are, you know, even what neighborhood within your city you were born in, to have like different, oh, the people from here are behave like that. Like in New York City, it's like, okay, if you're in Chelsea, it's like the gay people. If you're in Soho, it's the artsy people. If you're on the West Side, it's the intellectuals, the philosophers. And if you're on the Upper East Side, it's the WASPs, right? And so even in that, we get that label because we humans love to label and catalog and put things in little boxes. But then we don't see the whole picture. We see things through our own lenses, and that's our filter. And then we don't believe anything else that's out there. And there's so much out there that we can't even see or register because we're just not allowing ourselves to receive it. So expansion to me is receiving everything so that we can freely begin to choose what works for us.
That was just beautiful, absolutely beautiful. And I loved how you word the programming, because it's something that I talk about a lot. And I think sometimes when I can mention it, it can come out as though it's like there's a problem. And I've said this quite a few times now. Sometimes we can look at it from a fix it angle because of them labels, but every single one of us has been conditioned or programmed in some way. And that's not necessarily anybody's fault. It's the way that society has been built. It's the way that the marketing's done. Marketing is very psychologically based on behavior, based on how we act so that we buy from them. And when we kind of when we kind of release the veil of this and we see through it, we can open our minds to more. And just at that last bit that you said, where you said, you know, there's so much to this world that we do not see. There is so much to this world that we don't see that's actually available to us, but then there's also so much of this world we don't see because we don't have the senses. We haven't built on the senses to be able to take in that information. So a lot of the senses that, correct me if any of this doesn't agree with you, but for the senses, for me, obviously the main ones are your touch, your smell, your hearing, your sight. And these are the ones that we go with, but then we've also got so many other senses as well. And before, I'm not going to go into all of the different senses, but it was just from your point of what you're saying, from expanding, when we start looking and when we start learning about new topics, new subjects, new ways and perspectives of seeing the world, everything changes for us. And I love how you say it. You just say it so calmly with no kind of, not blame. I don't ever kind of feel I come across with blame, but it's always that, you know, it's okay, we're programmed this way. And that's always how I've wanted to come across to say it. But I come across with a conditioning side. I loved it. I loved how you worded
well that. See, here's the thing. There's different sides of this. There's the lineage programming, the generational programming. Yeah. So from your own family, like we as females, like whatever your grandmother was programmed with and your great grandmother, and we carry all of that through the generations, and every generation has that imprint, and it is up to each generation to liberate themselves from it. Now, about 10 years ago, I realized, oh my gosh, I have so much imprint and so much programming from my lineage. And I understood that if I liberated myself from it, I was not only setting my whomever came after me free, but everyone who came before me, because there's really no time or space and everything's happening at the same time. So as we liberate ourselves, we're literally setting our family tree free. And that's the one thing. The other about the senses, I always talk about, and because in accelerated learning, it's really important to get this concept. Our senses are amazing. That is the way we experience life in this vessel. This is our vehicle to experience life through, right? But this is not us. This is a vehicle. We are infinite beings, right? Then we usually ask, are you, it's your we're infinite beings, and do our bodies fit in us, or do we fit in our bodies? And truly is that,
sorry.
no, truly our bodies fit in us, right? Because we're
Yeah.
infinite.
Yeah.
And so sometimes, and so the feelings that we have are also limited, because if we were able to experience everything available, we would be paralyzed. So just listen to this. Just the sight, the vision, right?
Mm-hmm.
We can only take in, and I say only because it's a huge amount, but we can only take in the visual solar spectrum, right? The colors of the rainbow. And we have red on one side, and that is 400 angstroms. And we have violet on the other end, and that's 700 angstroms. So basically, we got a range of 300 angstroms, and all the combinations and stuff that give us depth to it. I'm not saying it's not enough, but it's so much that if we had any more, it would drive us crazy. But here's the thing. Because we see only from red to violet, does that mean that there's no infrared rays or ultraviolet light or cellular waves or microwaves or whatever it is that is outside of our perception? Does it mean that it doesn't exist? And so when people say, well, do you believe in ghosts? I don't believe in ghosts, but I believe that there might be entities that are vibrating at a higher frequency that we just cannot recognize because they're out of our awareness. I'm sure people watch me sometimes because I'm funny. And I'm like, I'm sure you're having a ball right now, but whatever. And it is just that they're out of our vibrational frequency. And it doesn't mean that they're not there. Right? And so when we begin to come into the awareness of there's so much more out there, how can I open myself to receive more? Like when I see people that are making money with so much ease and having a life that seems so easy, which is not everything that you know, that glows means it's gold, or whatever the saying is, but not everything that sparkles means it's gold. Mm-hmm. But there are a lot of people, a lot of my coaches, I began to start living that way without so much struggle, because I came from a place of mega struggle. My programming was I had to work hard for what I wanted.
Yep.
And so the idea of I don't have to work so hard is like, okay, I want to believe that. It sounds amazing. How do I not work so hard? And it was like, oh my gosh, but how do I do that? I see people doing it and I know it exists. Now I know it exists, right? Like when I see amazing couples, like people say, oh, having a wonderful relationship, it's impossible, or all men are like this, or all blah, 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 blah. I've seen the evidence of the couples. I'm like, I know it exists. I know it's there. And it's coming for me. I know it's coming. But now I'm in that vibration. And I'm like convinced that my person is going to show up. Because I've done the work. Because in the past, I never wanted to get in another relationship because I didn't want the same, same relationship, different face. I was done with that. And I'm like, until I begin to love myself and be happy with myself and know that I'm whole and complete. I'm not looking for my other half. My other half is right here. I'm whole, complete. I baked my cake. I frosted my cake. My cake is good. And I'm eating my cake because a lot of people say you can't have your cake and eat it too. That's another stupidity. But it's like, I have my cake. I baked my cake. I'm eating my cake. And when I'm done with this cake, I'm going to just go ahead and bake another one. It's not like a limited, I have one cake and I'm done. I know how to bake cakes and I'm going to make as many as I want. But here's the thing. If somebody comes and they want to add sprinkles to my cake, Woo, let's have sprinkles. But I don't need them to have my cake be whole and complete. I already have my cake and it's full and it's plenty and I love it. But want to bring sprinkles? You want to bring champagne? Okay, let's, we can talk, right? But when we come into that knowing, and at least for me, that we are in an individual, single, solitary path on this life. As much as we want to think that we're in this, we are one. I believe that too. It's that paradox, right? Mm-hmm. We are one. We're part of the whole, and that ether that connects us, it's like we are part of the one. It's like our million cells in our body. It's the same thing, right? They're all individual functional cells and they all have their own cycle, and all of our cells in our body die within 7 years. So the idea of aging, that's another stupidity that we bought into, but that's for another day. But the thing is that they have a cycle of life and death, and they're all living and dying and living and dying and living and dying, part of our whole body. And as inside, so outside, as above, so below. So it's just, everything is a reflection, a mirror image of it. And it's like in quantum physics or sacred geometry, you see the patterns, right? And it's bigger and bigger and bigger, and it's the same pattern. And it's like, you know, when you look through the, I don't remember what they're called.
Kaleidoscope.
Kaleidoscope, yeah. Right? And it's made of fractals, and we are fractals as well. And the thing is that we have our own little cycles, but we are individual at the same time. And when we know that is the case, and we begin to care and love for ourselves without feeling the guilt, without feeling the shame, without feeling like we're selfish, because as women, you can call a woman whatever name and they will not be as offended as if you call them selfish.
That's so true.
I can call you a bitch and you'd be mad at me, probably deck me. But if I call you selfish, I will hurt you to the depth of your core. Because
so true,
if somebody call me a bitch, it's like they're insulting me, right?
Yeah.
But if I call you selfish, I am hurting you.
And that but it kind of boils back, or what I'm picking up from it is boiling back to that story, isn't it, about women, where you need to provide for your family, you need to be the one that stays at home to take care while your husband or your partner goes out and does the, you know, brings the money in, basically. But that paradigm shifted now. That shifted a long time ago, and there's many people still living by that. And I kind of feel that could be where some maybe hold back from, because it, even now, even just to look at it, and I'm going to kind of bring it to a little bit of money, but if you look at how money we used to be able to manage on just one income, and now we can't do that. Now it's even, to have a house and obviously to be able to get by, we're looking at 2 incomes, and even that can be a struggle if you've got family and everything like that. So when we were living in that kind of past era, and the woman was staying at home and looking after the children, there wasn't as much pressure. Now I kind of feel like a lot of women, it's, you know, look after the family, do the house stuff, as well as go to work, as well as live your dreams, as well as all of this that comes. And I'm going off a little bit on what you were saying there, a little bit off track, but I can kind of see that belief pattern and how we've got that to the selfishness. And you know, do you know what I mean? Because we're constantly trying to help people, aren't we? We're like people. I know for myself, I'm a people pleaser. So, yeah.
We're also the nurturers, right? We're also the ones who give birth, and we feel that it's our obligation to take care of everyone and to give. And so for us to be called selfish, it's like the most hurtful thing you can ever call me. Like, you want to hurt me, call me selfish. Now I don't care. But for the longest time, I was like, oh my gosh, this is terrible. And like my ex-husband would call me, you're the most selfish person I've ever met. And it would just hurt me so deeply, because I did everything for my family. I didn't realize I was married to a narcissist.
That's a story for another day.
That's a stories for another day. But I would be like, oh my gosh, I'm giving my blood to you, and you have the gall to call me selfish when I'm like leaving myself by the side of the road, abandoned and forgotten. We would go out and he would look fantastic, his clothes ironed, everything clean, my daughter perfectly clean, and I'd be like, oh my God, let me comb my hair.
Like everyone else is ready before you.
Everybody was taken care of before me, and it is very, very demoralizing. But also the tides have turned. How many women are the breadwinners these days? How many women are the single moms that are having to provide and be the father figure, the mother figure, the provider, the head of the household, the everything? And it's not so easy. And the pressure that we have on us. I was thinking this morning, I was writing an article, like a post, about how the saying used to be, behind every great man is a great woman. And these days, I see so many women successful and so many men being the support for these women and being okay with that. And being okay to be the stay-at-home dad and be provided for. Men also, I feel that, have had so much pressure through the years. It's interesting because they've had a lot of pressure, but they've also had a lot of privilege. Because I would see it in my industry, right? I'm an actor. And when I would go to any productions, I would say, man, men seem to be here as if by accident. The women that were there were bright, smart. They had clawed their way to whatever position they had earned it. And the men were like, oh yeah, my dad used to do this, so now I'm doing it. And then they're in the boys club. And we had to really work so hard and earn whatever crumb was thrown our way, because also like the disparity in the salaries, just all that stuff. But the thing is, that paradigm has shifted, it's getting blown out of the water. And now we have, at least I know now that I have the choice for what I want my life to be. And I can choose to have a life of ease. I can choose to be happy every day. And everything that happens in my life is coming from me, not to me. And so when I'm connected to that strength and that power that's inside of me, whatever I'm feeling in here is what's going to be reflected back to me. So it is my job to protect that like my treasure, right? I always say, pick your 5, because we become the average of the 5 people closest to us. I'm like, pick your damn 5 people. You want to be like that person? And it doesn't matter if they're part of your family or your best friend from when you were 5 or when you were born. There comes a point, we have my mom calls them token friendships. It's like people you're friends with because you grew up with them, and it's like impossible to, in your heart, to say, I'm not going to be friends with you anymore. I did that to my friend of 40 something years. She behaved in a way that hurt me so deeply. And I'm like, I am done. Mm-hmm. She doesn't, I think she still doesn't realize how done I am. Because she appears every so often. I'm like, you're still talking to me? But in my mind, in my awareness, I am done, and I have moved on from that. Because it was so hurtful. And I'm like, I don't need to be around this energy. I don't need to expose myself to this type of hurt, because that was my past programming, that I had to be a doormat. And I no longer am a doormat. So it's like, it doesn't go with me anymore because I'm not a doormat anymore. So I can't have people walking all over me. There's no room for you in my life.
So do you know what we've done? 20 minutes, we've been talking. We're on the first question. And I knew this was going to be so different. And do you know what? I do not mind about questions or anything. I am here to help, or not even help. I am here to take in all of your magic. But as you're talking, I'm getting more and more curious as to kind of where this journey comes. So am I all right to jump into the second question? We're not going to go through all the questions, if that's okay.
Yeah, whatever your heart, what makes you curious? What would you like to know about?
Well, the curious is, it's the next question as well, but as you're talking, I'm like, what got you on this journey? Why are you here? So what I've been asking people is, take yourself back 5 years ago. Did you envision being where you are right now in your life and in your business?
Yes and no. I would have to take myself back 10 years. Okay, so if
go
I
back
take
as far as you want.
myself back 10 years.
You don't even look like you can go back 10 years.
You'd be surprised, my love. 10 years ago, I would say you were out of your mind if you told me I was going to be doing this. 5 years ago, I'd be like, oh my God, I'm not even, right now, I'd be like, see, if I take myself 5 years ago, right now, I'm not even close to what I thought I was going to be 5 years ago. So there you have it. I've had a lot of detours along the way. And, but 10 years ago, I was completely broken. I had become a shell of a person. I came from a very happy upbringing. I had my things. I had a very challenging relationship with my mom. We butted heads all the time. It wasn't fun, but in general, I've always been a happy, optimistic person. When I was 8 years old, people at school were like ostracizing me because I went to school where there were a lot of Jewish people, and I was one of the few Catholic ones, or whatever, agnostic. My parents weren't even, I came out like religious because, I don't know, my mom said I was an accident or something, because it's like, who are you? They're all agnostic. And here I am, can you take me to church on Sundays? And they're like, what? We don't go to church here. But anyway, so when I was 8, I was like, you know, people don't want to be my friends. And I've been working so hard to have them be my friends. And I remember getting in the car, my mom picking me up and me saying, you know what, Mom? I am so tired of chasing after people. I'm a pretty cool kid. And if they want to be my friends, the door is open. And if they don't want to be my friends, ta-ta, I am done with them. I declared that out loud. And by the next year, that was 4th grade. In 5th grade, I became the most popular girl in the school because I didn't care. And that's how it is. When we care too much, we don't get it. When we're like, well, I don't care. I'm just going to live my life. I'm going to be happy with what I have. And if they want to come and be in my party, it's pretty cool. They're welcome. And if they don't, they're lost. And my life changed on a dime. And then I got married to an emotionally abusive person, and I had no idea. And I sometimes, even saying it, I feel like really stupid, because after I had been separated, my mom and my cousin did an intervention, and they dropped me off at the Center for Abused Women. And I thought my cousin was the one coming. And they kind of tricked me. They left me there, and I was given this test. It was like a 2-hour written out test that at the end had a pie chart that would tell you the percentage of chance you had for your marriage to succeed. And I had 0.00001. So basically, it was done. And at that point, I realized I had been in an abusive relationship for 20 years and didn't know it, because it was so gradual. It was like the frog that you put in the pot in cold water. and then you start upping it by degrees. All of a sudden you had a boiled frog. Well, I was a boiled frog because I had no idea. And by that time, there was nothing that I appreciated about myself left. I was an empty shell. And at that point, I realized, after the tears and after everything, and after it was like, okay, this is really done for, how can I live my life from now on? I can take this as the most amazing gift that life has given me, and go through the galaxies and go looking for the bits and pieces of me that I lost along the way, and rebuild myself. And that's exactly what I did. I went looking for stuff, and it's like, ooh, garbage. Ooh, I like this. I remember this. Keep it. And I went through, literally, Marie Kondo wasn't even born then. And I was like, does this bring joy? This makes me happy. I will keep it. And I did that with myself, with every aspect of myself. I did every bit of, I did the Toltec way, which is a thing, recapitulation, which you go through your entire life from the first moment in life that you remember. And year by year, you do this huge process. I had notebooks and notebooks. I went through my entire darn life. Now I know better. I wouldn't put anybody through that, because it's like, you take your garbage out, and I was like going through all my garbage, and I'm like, you don't need to do that. But I did that because I didn't know better.
Yeah, and I've done the same thing as well. And the way my kind of experience was when I was suffering with what the doctors had said was postnatal depression and anxiety. I focused so much on what depression was, what anxiety is, how do we get it, and the symptoms and all the problems and all of the, I can tell you all about like the amygdala, I can tell you about all the parts of the brain. But the one thing that actually changed it for me is when I realized, because I was getting myself in this cycle of focusing on the problem, and then I switched it and thought, instead of focusing on the problem, what about if I focus on how to get happy? And everything, everything just changed in an instant. And I don't mean life, all the money in the world and everything, but my perspective, my whole body just was like, wow. And then that took me on this journey, and that's kind of where I am. There's much more to that story, but I love how you explain it.
Exactly. When you realize you have choice.
Yeah.
I used to be a person that would wake up in the morning and be jumping out of bed with excitement, and I had lost that.
Yes, me too.
And I was like, wait a second, I know what that feels like. I want that back.
Yes.
But I want it better. And now it's like, oh my gosh, some days I'm just like, I don't even go to sleep. I'm like, I can't wait for the next day, right? I'm like so excited about life. And it's like, oh, I wonder what surprises. I'm like a kid at Christmas every day. Like,
I love that. And that is, like you say, it's the best way though. And it's, I speak to a lot of my clients as well about the childlike, or, live life as though you're living through child's eyes. And I'll always remember when I was younger, because I'm so creative. I love doing like big artworks. I'm not very good at, the detailed stuff, but when it comes to big, bold, like kind of art attack displays, I'd love to do one of them on a big field somewhere. But what I've done over the years is I've kind of molded myself, and that creativity kind of stopped working. And obviously with having the children now, especially with Harper, and don't get me wrong, I noticed it with Jackson, but I was in a very different place then compared to where I am now. And with Harper, I kind of pick up, she just looks at the slightest thing and she's like, oh, wonderful, beautiful. And the more I'm watching her, I'm like, that's it, that's the energy, that's what we need to tap into more and more. And that creative side's coming out more. We're doing more painting, we're doing more making. And it really is kind of tapping into that, instead of, I think for me, it was kind of when I went over that, there was no kind of door to walk through, but it was the motherhood. As soon as I hit motherhood, my perspective changed. Even crossing the road become dangerous for me, because it's like, oh, is there a car? Where's he going? What's he doing? And I was very protective, especially with Jackson. I was a protective mom, especially for the first couple of years, and it took me, I had to work through certain things to not have, you know, that cotton can't say the words, cotton wool style protection all the time. So I had to work through that. But yeah, I'm going to be here and I'm going to carry on going on, but it's so powerful, so powerful. And like I say, when we're looking in that child or view, it brings back that excitement. It takes away the limits and that kind of, what's the word I'm looking for? It's like a concrete kind of platform, isn't it? You can't move, it's rigid. And it's like, I've always got to do, but when we bring ourselves back to the creative, it's that flow, it's that kind of fun, and all the energy starts coming from that place.
Yes, realize that it's all about your connection with your higher self, with your God self, with your inner, when you go looking for your inner child, when you go within and explore all the treasures that are available to you, that are inherently you, that we have kind of left along the way.
Yeah, I've been told a lot of the times I'm too much, and I'm sure there's so much hidden where it's too much and I've quietened down.
Right. And we have this calling, we all have a calling, but we have a tendency, at least I did, press the snooze button for so long. Like when the sound healing came, that was even 20 years ago.
Oh, wow.
I was getting in my meditation, I was getting, what was it, the word? Solfeggio would come up in my meditation, and I would hear it loud and clear.
Music, isn't it?
Those are the scales.
Ah.
And I thought, well, that's just the scale. And it was like solfeggio. And I was like, what the heck? Until I finally started doing research, and I found that the sacred solfeggio frequencies were the tonalities that these monks that sing, the singing monks, the word just left me, but it'll come to me in a moment when I stop thinking about it. But there's these monks that sing in these sacred solfeggio frequencies, and they are healing songs. Have you ever heard the oh my gosh, I can. If Stacia is around, she will write it in the. Yeah, always gives me the.
Oh, hang on. I think she said I've actually today I've got the phone next to me just in case anything could come up, so I can catch some comments, because we've had some incredible comments, and if I can catch them, I will. I just kind of want to be here fully for you. So can't pronounce it. Tibetan.
No, hold on.
The one. The Tibetan, that's drums, isn't it? That's the kind of,
well, that's the, yes.
My head playing. I do that with exercise. I've got, okay, so I'll,
like Gregorian,
he says she listens.
Chants, the monks sang Gregorian chants. And okay. So these frequencies are very, very healing. And I found that it's like, oh, okay. So then that's when I found out about 528 hertz, which is a frequency of love. And I'm all about love. So then it was like, that is why that's my signature frequency. And I've been working with that forever.
So what was that? Sorry, 520 is the frequency of love. Naomi's put 528. What's the frequency of 528? Oh, sorry. Oh, I don't know where my ears were then. So no, 528 is the frequency.
Hertz is, and so every frequency corresponds to a different organ of the body. Every organ has a different vibration, okay? Our chakras have also their own vibration, and that is the color of the rainbows. That's why our chakras are red and orange and yellow. They go through the colors of the rainbow, and red has a vibrational frequency of 396 hertz. And then we go to 417, which is the orange. Then we keep going up the scale. And 528 is the frequency of love and miracles. And that is my logo. That is me singing 528 hertz into this bucket where I had put it's this contraption. It's called a cymatics drum, and cymatics is the visual representation of sound. And so I would spread. I have this latex sheets that
where
are
it
very
moves.
thin. Yes. Well, I sing through a pipe, and then it has a little elbow, so the sound faces up. And I put with a bungee rope, I stretch this membrane, which is the super thin special latex that I have to order. It's not the regular balloon latex. It has to be very, very thin. And so I stretch it like a drum, and then I pour sand over it, and I just go splatter sand. And as I sing, it creates fractals, and it creates different shapes. And when I hit the 528 and I got the hexagon that I did, I freaked, because I work with water. And
yes,
I work
Dr. Emoto's the one I've heard from, that, the experiment. I learned that about 15 years ago. And funnily enough, I actually watched a snippet today of it. If anybody's not sure what we're talking about, if you go onto YouTube and type in Dr. Emoto, he did a meditation
Messages from Water.
Pardon?
Messages from Water is his book.
Is that the book? I found it on YouTube, so you can find a snippet, but obviously go to the book, research, do whatever feels good to you. But basically it was a group of people who were, and correct me if you've read the book and you know more about it, please do correct me. It was a group of people that were meditating around, was it a river or some sort? But basically what they were doing was
body of water.
Go on, you tell the story, because what I'll do is I'll put the link below as well, because it's really powerful.
There's so many. I met Dr. Emoto and we were supposed to work together, but he passed away 3 months later. He was already sick on his tour. I was able to gift him my set of oils, and he saw my logo and everything, and he said, "You and I need to work together."
Oh, I've got goosebumps. And it was like about 15 years ago. This is huge for me, because that video, or even just the message, what he's done, and when obviously you explain it,
and he got, yes, and he was ridiculed and people laughed at him. And the first I came in touch with him was through the movie What the Bleep Do We Know?
I watched that as well.
Yeah, and when I saw that, I was like, oh my gosh, everything just started to make sense. So basically what he did is they took samples of polluted water or just regular water, and they froze it, and there are microcrystals. They had these very powerful how do you call them, today my English and my Spanish are bad, the microscopes. And they would freeze these drops, and if the water was polluted, it would come out in a blob, very much like cancer cells. I'm just saying. And then they would go and meditate, or he would put labels of love and beautiful words. And then they would put labels of hate, violence, whatever, horrible words, or words that express a different type of energy. And they're not horrible words, they're just words, but they're very powerful with that intention.
Vibration.
And they would freeze those, and the ones that had evil, hate, murder were all blobbish, and the ones that had love, gratitude, magic came out as beautiful snowflakes. Yeah. Beautiful crystals. So when I sang in the 528 hertz and I saw this hexagon, I'm like, I am actually, because inherently I knew that when I sang these tones and when I tuned my body, because I've learned a way to tune my bones and my muscles to the frequency and vibrate them as well when I do my singing. And so it's not just my voice coming out, it's my entire body that will vibrate to that frequency. And so, and there's a technique for that you need, that took me a while to figure out and learn. And there's this amazing,
incredible
dance teacher that teaches you to do that. But anyway, I inherently knew that I was structuring people's water in their bodies, but I had no proof.
That was my point I was trying to say, and it stayed in the back of my head ever since I watched the experiment, because we're made up of, there's a little bit of, they're not quite sure. So let's just for the purpose of this, between 70 and 90%, I'm more on the 90% of our body, of our human body is made of water. Yeah, if this experiment is true, and go and check it out for yourself, see what you think yourself. But if that experiment is true, and it's from them words that we're using, imagine how your body is vibrating, especially when we've got that inner chatter, we've got the self-conscious side, we are talking to ourselves consistently. Which way are we talking to ourselves? That experiment changed so much for me, because it kept me reminded. And when I went through horrific self-sabotage and beating myself up every day through my mindset, not feeling good enough. And when I come across that, it used to remind me, and I'm like, what's your body like? And when I changed my words, and anybody can practice this at any point, you can do it now. Change your words. If you're thinking and you're feeling a little bit low, start thinking positive words, start feeling good, and you'll be able to feel the shift come in your body. I shared that video so much, but I love how you've read the book and the experiments more, because I actually thought it was a meditation, and this is where I've not gone into it. It was that concept for me. Really opened my eyes.
He would go and meditate over polluted bodies of water. And
That'll
then after the meditation, they would take the sample and it had completely transformed. He would also do it with rice.
Yeah. Have you ever done it yourself with a plant? I've done it with a plant.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
I always had this thing in my head that plants don't survive. And then I can't turn everything around now, but I've got one in front of me, and I've got a Buddha in it. I've got a crystal in it. I talk to it, and it's always, I love the plant, and you should see it. It's absolutely gorgeous. And then I've got this one's new, so we'll do the same with this one. But then I've got others where I've kind of had them in, say, like the downstairs bathroom, and I've kind of not paid much attention, and they've died within a matter of weeks. It just makes me question. It's interesting.
They're discovering that trees talk to each other through the root systems.
Wow.
They communicate. If there's a forest and
it's
a place,
not so hard to believe, though, is it?
No, please, just because it's like we're so
fixated
daft
on the man-made world.
We're so daft. We just feel like we're the only ones here that can think, and it's like, oh my God, please, people. So through the root system, there's a very, very quick communication between the trees. So if the men come over to take them down, they send the signal so that they can go and get anesthetized. They put themselves to sleep so they don't feel so much pain. When you cut many times. Fruit I used to love having flowers at home. I don't have flowers anymore because they're getting cut, and I don't have Christmas trees. I invented the treeless tree just to have a Christmas tree because I love the balls, but I didn't want to have a living being dying in front of me because I cut it off and I'm watching it die every day. I just could not, it would hurt me. So I invented a Christmas tree that you don't need a tree for. It just gives you the impression of a tree. It's the most magnificent thing, but it's like a magical tree, but you don't need a tree and you don't need to kill anything. But here's the thing. When you, if you also know about the Ho'oponopono prayer and you've heard about Dr. Hugh Len.
I just couldn't pronounce it the other day when I spoke about that. I still can't pronounce it now. Ho'oponopono, yeah.
And he tells you, I've taken a lot of courses from him, and he tells you can put your fruits and vegetables to sleep before you cut them. And you just say blue ice with the intention of them anesthetizing so they don't feel when you cut them. And so every time I cook any vegetable or fruit or anything that's alive, I give it thanks and I say blue ice before I cut it or before I cook it or eat it or whatever, and I just give it thanks for nourishing me. I'm one of those people who, if I could be a breatharian, I would do that. Mm-hmm. I really wouldn't want to, it's like I don't want to kill anything.
I admire you so much, and honestly, listening to you and listening to this story, obviously anyone that's watching this, the questions have gone out of the window because this is absolute power. I am learning so much, and you're opening up my eyes, you're expanding my eyes, because there's so many different areas I want to expand on, I want to learn on, and just listening to you, and I'm getting excited for the journey ahead, because for me, you are just a prime example of how I want to see the world, how I want to feel, you know, to tap into this energy, to know what you know. I can't wait for the sound, but
Yeah.
I am just absolutely in awe, and I don't want to stop you, but we've been talking for an hour.
I know. We said we'll talk for half an hour and then I'll do a sound bath.
And it's
I
been
don't
an
know,
hour. We're
still
on
gonna have
question
time?
2, and it has been absolutely incredible. But there are a couple of comments, so if it's okay, just before we go in, if you want to
Please.
carry on, I'm more than happy to carry on. We've got Bernadette. Sorry if I'm shouting anybody else out who ordered backwards. We've got Sarah. We've got Naomi, we've got Stacia, and Bernadette, Julie. So Stacey's put, it's amazing that Indigenous people knew most of all things, but not many listened to their wisdom.
Exactly.
And you got me consciously doing this when I cut fruits and vegetables. So Stacia has been in one of your programs, is that right?
She loved my program so much she repeated.
I can't wait. Honestly, I cannot wait to work with you. So, but yeah, I've never heard of that with vegetables. That was something that opened my eyes, and I understand it. I understand obviously everything's a living thing, and I think there's part of me, I have more to learn in that area when it comes to nutrition and that side, and you know, that will open up at the right time for me. But you've just really opened my eyes, because it's something that I would have never ever give a second thought to. But
Yeah.
now,
you know what happened
sense
to me just a few days ago? I was going up the stairs and I felt a cry for help. And I turned and my grandson was having his way with my orchid.
Oh no.
He was tearing the leaf up. And I felt ripping it. He was like, he touched it and thought, ooh, and started ripping it up. And I was going upstairs and I literally felt a cry for help. And I turned and I saw him. My grandson had never seen me angry and had never seen me speak to him in the way, because I just went, stop. And I literally, from my gut, and he's 2, not even 2, he's 20 months old. And he knew. It's the first time. He didn't even cry. He just looked at me and he was frozen right there. He just went like this, because he knew what it was. And I said, don't you touch that orchid again. It was crying with pain because of you. And I just came and just hugged the poor thing. I was so upset. My daughter was next to him and she was like, oh my gosh, I didn't realize. He was so quiet. You know, when he goes quiet, it's when I worry. And he was just like ripping it up. But I wasn't looking and I felt the pain. I felt something pulling me back. And that's when I turned, because I'm like, what is happening? Something compelled me to look back. And that is when we start waking up and start being more in communion and honoring of everything that has been gifted for our enjoyment, for our beauty. And we begin to stop trying to possess everything. Stop trying to cage birds. Can you imagine that? Just like, those are things that drive me pretty much insane. Like, why would you want to put a bird in a cage? Just why would you want to do that? Why? Right? Because we have such a need to control, to possess, to manipulate, to have, to make people do things the way we want them to. And instead of saying, wow, look at the gift of nature, look at what God has given us for our enjoyment, and live and let live. Leave these beings alone. Leave them to lead their own life, because they are wiser than we are. We just, because we can think and we can talk, we think that they don't communicate. We think that they don't have a feeling. Look at cows with their calves, you know, and it's like, look at how they cry when their calves are taken from them. Because did you know that all cows want is to have a family? Mm-hmm. But we're perfect, right? And
we
it's
can
like,
put the worlds to rights. What reminded me then when you said that is there's that program, isn't there? What the Health? I don't know if you've seen that one. It's on Netflix, and that is obviously about the food industry, and that it shares a little bit about obviously all of that area. It's quite an upsetting program, but for me, I want my eyes open. I want to be able to understand so I can make the right choices. And that's why I kind of watch things like that, because it opens my eyes, and you know, that's that. So if you want to go and watch it, it's on Netflix. It's What the Health. But it's eye-opening.
Yes. And see, the thing is that we all know at some level, we know it, but there's the thing that we call the ignorant, willful ignorance. When we rather not look, because if we looked, we'd have to do something about it.
We're seeing that everywhere at the minute though, aren't we?
Yes. It's like life is just throwing us in the thing. Life literally, when we thought there couldn't be a pause button, how many of us have asked and prayed for, oh my God, have the world just stop for a second? Well, it did.
And how many people, when the world stopped, did what they were going to do, or did they go the opposite way? It's such a, we can be here all night discussing this, and I am more than open to booking you in again and doing another one of these. I really, really am. I'm honestly, I am absolutely in awe. I really cannot, like I just said, I cannot wait to work alongside you. I cannot wait to get into your container, to learn this meditation, to learn all about the sound healing. But because we have been on, I really don't want to do this. Can you share your magic with us? Can you let us know what it is that you do? And just everybody that's watching, we've got Stacey here on still. We've got quite a few people. I'm sorry, it's not giving me the names. I can just see Stacey with all the hearts. We love you so much.
I love you so much.
And work your magic for us, please. This is the
well, this is my boyfriend, Harry.
I love you, Harry.
Harry the Pan. Station
so
knows
just
Harry well.
for us. What is it? Explain.
This is so.
For me.
This started as a work of art.
Okay.
This is a copy of the original, which was the Pan art. It's a Swiss couple in France, in Paris, that created this. It's like a reverse steel drum from the Caribbean. And they made it so it would have very specific notes, so that every ding, every dent is a note.
Did anybody else just feel all relaxed then?
Now, this one is in particular is more special for two things. One of them is it was made by a woman. There's only about 2 women makers. And she worked for a guy, Jana Martinez, there from Aura Handpan, but she was his apprentice, and it was tuned by a woman. But here's the thing. They were made and they were called Pan Art, and they were like $5,000, and you would have to apply, go to Paris, interview with them, and then they would decide if you were worthy of having one of their instruments. And then people started imitating them, and they were not happy. But then now there's a lot of people making them. And the other thing about this one is that it's tuned without me knowing. It's a story. It's another 2-hour story, but just know that this drum is now tuned to 528. It's in the key of D.
That does not surprise me with you.
But it showed, you know, I was like, I had the chance of getting a drum. It was like a 1.5 year wait, supposedly, and I got it within 3 months of making the choice to have one. And it came to me and they said, well, do you want one? She's moving and she needs money. She can sell you one of hers. I said, sure. I didn't care what key it was in. I'm like, if I don't like it, somebody will snatch it from my hands. I can just, in 5 minutes, I can have this baby sold. So I said, I'd rather have that than a cooking pot, because I was practicing on a cooking pot. I'm like, anything's better than a cooking pot and a pan. Hello. I'll buy it and whatever. Wouldn't you know, it came in a key of D. I was like, what? So then I took it to John at Aura, and he retuned it to 528 because it was already in the key, but it was not in the sacred frequency. So now Harry's tuned to the sacred frequency. So he and I blend very well together, and every sound bath that I do is different. I follow the energy. I've learned for a recovering control freak, it was very difficult to learn to trust that the sound would be there and that the melodies would be there. It was very, very challenging to try to stop trying to manipulate whatever came out. Sometimes the sound is not pretty. And some days I still think that one of the women that is working with me now, she's one of my private clients, and she's like, well, my daughter said this is too weird. And I said, she's right. So she started laughing, and I said, she's absolutely right. Some days I'm wondering what the heck I'm doing. So believe me, she like, she doesn't have the exclusive thinking this is weird. But what I do know is that it works, and that it creates so much change. So I also tell people who want to work with me, make sure you're certain about it. It's because this is the Hotel California.
I'm certain for sure. I know that.
Anyway, if you'd like to just experience this fully, please place your feet flat on the ground, your hands, palms facing up on your thighs. And we're going to do 3 cleansing breaths. They're in through our nose and out through our mouth with a big sigh. And just as you exhale, just let everything go. Go ahead and do 3 of those. And if you feel like it, go ahead and close your eyes. All right. Gently wiggle your toes, bring yourself back in.
You're amazing. You are amazing. I am going to apologize. I didn't have my eyes closed, and I think it was a bit of a nervous thing because if anyone pops on and I'm sat and I'm asleep, I felt all the emotions, and towards the end there, I could feel it. My eyes started getting a little bit teary, and I just felt this absolute huge wave just go right through my stomach, all the way through my arms, all down the back of my spine. Watching you in your element, you glow. You're everything. I was just, there was like one moment and my whole head, I was just like, wow. It is so beautiful. And you know, a few times we've mentioned on the, I don't even want to call it an episode, where we've just tapped into your absolute brilliance. And it's all about this weirdness. And I just want to say there is nothing weird with listening to sound. There is nothing weird with wanting to feel good. There is nothing weird with trying something new. This to me is new. I am so open to it because of them feelings. If anybody else who's on, did anybody else feel it when they were listening? I know there's a few of you that have been watching this all the way through, and I love every single one of you ladies. Thank you so much to everyone who's on the replay as well. How did you feel? How was that? So Naomi's put thank you so much. I don't know if that was in relation to my question because there's a bit of a delay, isn't there? But yeah, how do you feel? I feel amazing, and I'm just honored and I'm in awe because it is so beautiful. I've seen you do this obviously, but I've never known what do I call it an instrument? Is it?
Yeah, the handpan.
Yeah. So I've never seen it. So this, when we've been talking, here's my difference. This is my little musical sound.
I have a few. I
have no idea what I'm doing.
Yeah, my first bowl was a Tibetan bowl that found me in New Zealand, actually.
So have you just picked up these along the way? You've obviously researched, you've been practicing as you've gone.
That bowl found me 20 years ago in New Zealand.
Curious. It's like there's a whole new world, and it's all through vibration and sound. And when I know what I know about vibration and thoughts and healing and everything, it just makes so much sense to me. And I'm so excited to learn more.
It is common sense. It's just logic, right? If all our words, and I was born a singer. I've sung since I'm a little girl. I used to entertain people with my guitar. I would just go around, anybody who would hear me. And I love entertaining. I'm an actor. I ended up in the soap operas, and so for me, this was like kind of the natural progression, but I resisted it because at first, can you imagine 20 years ago, I was like, dear Lord, they're going to send the people with the white coats. Oh my God, how can I just go out and tell? Now it's in vogue to have a singing bowl, and there's quartz bowls, and there's, Lupito making all these amazing bowls that they're just magical and Atlantean and all from all these, the star seeds and all that stuff that people are starting to talk about. But 20 years ago, it was not something you like, you were at a cocktail party and you brought up in conversation. Well, hey, I'm a sound healer.
And that again, it comes from conditioning though, doesn't it? It comes, if we go back, and I'm not going to go into history or anything, but just the one which most of us will know of is like witchcraft. If we were talking about healing modalities, if we were talking about this less than 200 years ago,
you'd be burnt at the stake.
We would have been killed, for speaking about positive about this, that's helping us, that's tapping us back into our true power, that is kind of, this is coming back to our true essence. And it's the only way I can write it, the only way I can say it. And years ago, we would have been punished for trying to go back home. Now we have the opportunity to experience, to experiment, to tap in. And I don't know about any of you ladies that are watching this or watching on the replay, but after listening to that, would you really mind being called weird to get that feeling? That touched my soul. And if anybody's watching this back, you'll probably be able to see it through my eyes. You can see the emotion going through me, and it's so powerful. And when I find something that touches me on such a deep level like that, I know there's power there. I know there is magic behind it. And I am just all for learning more. We've got Naomi. I think Naomi's done some work around frequencies, and she has just said, when you have the understanding of frequencies and how they heal, it's a game changer. So I've had some knowledge, but I don't have enough to talk about it. And I'm actually so excited to find out more. I've said it so many times, you're absolutely amazing. I feel like I'm getting upset. I just want to, not upset in a bad way, but I'm just really emotional. I just want to say thank you for coming on, for giving me an hour and a half of your absolute magic. I do not want you to go, but we're going to let you. I'm going to get into your inbox. I'm like, right, what's next? What do I need to learn? But whoever sees this will want to get into your world. So how do we find you? What is it that's on offer? Where do you want people to go for you?
Well, first of all, I have I do every Sunday, I do a free, completely free, it's called Sound Bath Sundays. I go on for almost an hour every time, 45 minutes to an hour. And I talk about what's going on in the planet. And I get on my soapbox and I give you tools to manage whatever's going on. I give you practical tools because I'm all about biohacking and getting things done quicker with ease. And I'm always in the biohacking forums and stuff, finding how to do more with less, less effort, less struggle, less everything. And my motto is no pain, all gain. I'm done with the no pain, no gain thing. It's like I've done enough pain in my life.
I wonder if I could use that one for the exercise.
Absolutely. I figured a way. I figured the most amazing way.
We're going to have a chat after this, because that is, we're not going to get into exercise now, but that no pain, no gain is what puts me off the kind of strength, where the next day I'm just in so much pain. But we'll discuss that again. And if anybody else wants any more talks around that, put Jana a message.
Yes, I figured that out a long time ago. I'm like, not doing this. I put my shoulder out, weightlifting. I mean, I have a damaged
I couldn't think of anything worse.
I have a damaged knee that I had to stop dancing because of my knee. I was studying to be a professional dancer, and my knee it wasn't meant to happen, right? So, but I still, if I work out too much or too strong, I'll feel the pain. I'm like, it's not even worth it to me, but I want to be fit.
Mhm.
And so what can I do to do it in a way that actually works with me, with my hormones, with our life changes? You know, I cannot do the same things that I was doing 10 years ago and expect to have the same result, because I'm a different person.
Mhm.
So how am I,
I love
like,
that.
that doesn't fit in my life, because it was all about no pain, no gain. And I had to just like put myself through torture.
Mm.
And now it's like, well, logically that doesn't fit anymore, because I'm not into torture. I have to find a way that makes it fun and happy. And now I love going to it, because I do stuff that makes me really, really happy. And then my body responds to it with looking happy and being vibrant and radiant and healthy. And that's how it works, and it's all about what you think, what you say, and it's all about being in alignment. Your thoughts, your words, your emotions, what you're feeling, with your words and your actions. And when you come into alignment with that, there's no stopping you. So anyway, Sound Bath Sundays, I have a channel on YouTube called Vocal Tapestry. And you can probably find me on Instagram, Vocal Tapestry. On Facebook, you find me under 11 Jana Martinez, JanaMartinez, or Jana Martinez 11. I don't know. It keeps changing. Everybody that comes to help me changes it, but there's 11 and Jana Martinez, or Jana Martinez 11.
I will put the links below this as well.
Oh, great. Yeah. So on YouTube, if you follow me and subscribe, that would be amazing. I have about 150 subscribers now, but I need to get to 1,000 so I can transmit from anywhere from my phone. Right now, I have to be, tethered to the Wi-Fi and my laptop. Otherwise, I cannot transmit on YouTube, because they keep changing the rules. So my goal is to get to 1,000.
Okay, let's see if we can all help you, whoever's watching this.
That would be amazing. And I have a course that my people keep telling me to change the name. It has now evolved. It was like a 21-day meditation experience. Now it's evolved to meditation and transformation. It's still—
and this is the one. This is your most recent, and this is the one that Stacey has took part in, isn't it?
Yes.
I have heard
21 days of me. You get me for an hour and a half every day. Now I'm doing it only on weekdays, because people are getting back to having weekdays and weekends, which for me doesn't exist. But people going back to work, it's hard for them to do it over the weekend, because they want to be with family and stuff. So now I'm doing it only during weekdays. But it's 21 days straight where you are going to create a new habit to meditate. And people keep having so much angst around it, because it's calling them, but they don't know how to sit still, because literally goldfish have an attention span of 7 to 9 seconds, and we fail the test. So if you want to do better than a goldfish, you have to learn to sit still. And through my biohacking thing, I figured out a way of reaching very deep meditative states without having to go through the mind, because Einstein said you cannot solve a problem from the same level that it was created. So you cannot tell your mind to be still, because if I tell you don't think of a purple elephant—
That's a lovely purple elephant there in my mind.
Hello, it's like, so how can you tell so if you tell your mind don't think, what is your mind going to do? Think more, and get more into the monkey mind and make you crazy, because then you cannot dominate the mind. You cannot dominate the mind through the mind, but you can dominate your mind and lead it and direct it and channel it through your body. And I teach you how to do that in my first day. You learn how to do that. And from then on, you're like on fire, you're on point. And then the sound is just like the pièce de résistance. It just takes you to a new level. People experience seeing fractals, seeing colors, smelling scents, just people appearing, just like guides appearing, just magical stuff happens for each and every person. It is different for everyone. And like I said, I have my idea of what the course is like. I have my framework. However, if someone brings something up, I can pivot in the moment, because I'm live with you guys. It's an hour and a half of me every time. and you get me for 21 days straight, and you can ask any questions, you can bring, it's just, you get me fully for 21 days, and I guarantee that you will meditate and you will get at least one peak experience within that 21 days. Everybody experiences more pretty much from the second day, but I never like to, I like to under promise and over deliver. But believe me when I tell you
anything that you work with, though, I know full well it's going to be over delivered, under promised, and it's going to be absolute gold and life changing. And yeah. I'm just, I can't wait to ask you more about it. But if anybody wants to know any of the details,
yeah, you can email me. You can email me at info@Vocal Tapestry, and we'll put the link for the course also in the comments. We can do that. There's a landing page that tells you more about it and when the next course starts. And I'm also doing a new one that's all about learning how to focus and concentrate, because that is the magic sauce for manifestation. So we're going to be starting that soon. But mostly, right now, I think people need to learn to stop praying. I mean, I'm not saying stop praying, because I'm a prayer. I always pray, but it's different than meditating. Meditating is actually listening to your God self and tapping into your genius that's there waiting for you to say, hello, little one, it's time to come out, because it is go time. There's no more. I mean, if this pandemic didn't teach you that there's no more time to waste, I don't know what will. Seriously. It's like, it is time, because it was funny, like the first day of the pandemic, everybody's like, oh, we're all gonna die. And I'm like, well, it was the same yesterday. Just people were trying to pretend it wasn't. It's like, we're all gonna die.
So true. So true.
Everybody was just like living life as if like, oh, we're here forever. No, you can die. You can walk out the door and a piano can fall on your head. Okay. There's no guarantee of anything, but we're just that willful ignorance, right? We pretend that this is forever and whatever. And then all of a sudden the virus comes and everybody's like, wake up. Yeah, it's wake up, people. It took the freaking virus to wake people up. It's like, I was like, how was it different from yesterday? I couldn't understand, because people Absolutely. Are hysterical. It's like, we should have been hysterical all along when we're like putting plastic in the oceans and doing all the bullshit that we're doing. And here we are, pretending. And now the virus hits and all of a sudden it's like, oh, we're all going to die. I'm like, yeah, we were all dying yesterday. It was the same thing.
It's a really good way to look at it. And I fully understand what you're saying there. And we're talking about the mindset. If anybody's jumped on through this, we have a tendency, don't we, to just kind of think that next week, in a few months, when I have the money, when I'm happy, when I've lost the weight, when I've done this, when I've done that, life doesn't wait for any of us. And if, like you've just said, if this can prove it with what we're going through, and what I am starting to notice as well, because things are starting to kind of move forward, we're forgetting already the lesson that we've just learned over the last few months. And if we literally have this and just go straight back in, all guns blazing, and it's everybody working full time, what have you learned? This is the time we can take an opportunity. We can actually take control and say, hang on a minute, this isn't working for me. I have the right of a choice and I want to do things differently. And now is the perfect time for anybody who feels in that situation. I know for myself, it is exactly the right time to give me that opportunity to run. And
when you make that commitment, the universe conspires to give you everything you need and put the right people and the right thing, and the money shows up. Even if you feel like I don't have the money, commit to it and the money will show up. I give you my word. Every single time. And when you commit to any of these self-development programs, any one of them, whatever it is that you're going to be working on, starts working in the moment you commit, because there's no time and space. In the moment you said, I'm having this. And then you just really step up to it. Mm-hmm. And then all of a sudden, like one of the ladies that took my course, she was like, I don't know how I'm going to pay for this, but I'm doing this. Within 3 days, a refund came in the UK for something that she had paid for 5 years ago, whatever, that she'd forgotten about. And it came for the full amount of the course and more. Excellent. She was like, oh my gosh. It just showed up. It just showed up, and that is how it works.
Have the belief, have the faith, and it can be very difficult to let go of the resistance, let go of the control. But if you've learned anything from this episode, go back to the beginning if you don't quite know. And even just listening, it's all about letting go of control, isn't it? It's all about releasing, and
it's about surrendering.
Incredible.
It's about surrendering.
Yeah.
There's this woman that I read all the time. Her name is Florence Scovel Shinn. And she wrote five most important books, and they put them in a compendium. It's called The Wisdom of Florence Scovel Shinn, Flow. And I found out when I moved to Philadelphia that she was from Philadelphia, and I had no idea. But anyway, that's another story. Anyway, Flow says, my ships sail in over a don't care sea. And when we learn to,
the more we care about it, the more resistance.
Choice for, you choose to be happy, and you be happy for no reason.
Yeah.
And then that gets reflected back to you. And then you ask for what you like, and then you surrender it over to God. And then it'll come because you're dancing around and being happy, and it's just going to come. If you're chasing and following, I have this circle theory, and I know I'm making us even more late, but
it's okay.
I have nowhere to go. We have all these things that come with us, and we have this orbit, and I call it my circle theory. And we have this little orbit that we come in on our path, and all the things and all the gifts and all our desires are there for us to have. Otherwise, we wouldn't be desiring them, because I don't believe in a cruel God. So you have this desire and you're wanting to go after it, but we start speeding up and chasing it. And then that thing speeds up at the same speed. And we're always like, like the carrot and the greyhound.
Chasing your tail all the time, aren't we?
And we're like chasing and chasing.
I love that.
But when we learn to stop and put ourselves in the center and the eye of the hurricane, and that's meditation. And we just sit there and we just listen. It will hit you right in the face, baby. It'll just come at you. And you'll be like, oh, that was so easy because I didn't have to do anything. Because when we're deluded thinking we have to chase and do and struggle, we're only keeping it that much away from us. It's all about sitting still. And it's all about shining our lights right now, because there's no more time to waste, because there is really no time.
I agree with that. And there's so much work to be done.
Yeah. Well, no, there's so much life to be lived. There's so much life to be enjoyed.
Yeah, I see how I said that with what you've just said, and what I was meaning was more the awareness of allowing other people to experience this. But you are so right there.
We have to get out of I have to do.
The masculine energy.
We became human doings in the process, and we're human beings. And we've got that.
Mm-hmm. Well, we've been trained not to. We've been trained to not do it that way. And when we dig deeper into it, it goes very, very deep, and it gets really, really heavy.
Yeah.
But that's another story for another day. But another
story for another day.
I would love to have more stories with you, to have more episodes. This has been absolutely incredible, and I have learned so much. So thank you so much for bringing your expertise to us all, to me. I can't wait to see where this journey is going to take me. I am so curious and so interested how to tap more into this, especially like the visual for me as well. I see so many bright colors, I see symbols, I have no idea, and this is through my meditation, but I don't know how to look at them. I don't know how to look into them, so I'm just curious to find out all the ways, and sound has always been one for me as well. So thank you. And
you're welcome.
I've just seen Naomi's commented saying she loves her book. I haven't heard of the author who you spoke about. So again, I have a new person who I can go and check out as well. Would you mind just putting the name below so we can go back and reflect and have a look into it? Is that okay?
Yeah. Of putting of what?
The lady who you follow, the book.
Oh, Florence Scovel Shinn. Yes, definitely.
Yeah, that would be brilliant if you could. And I'd love to go and check that out.
Yes.
And Yeah, I have so many questions, but I'm gonna let you go. I'm gonna go and let you enjoy the rest of your day.
Well, write the questions out so you remember them, because otherwise you'll forget them.
Yeah. Yeah, so I'll put the questions down below. Oh.
No, for yourself, and then we can explore at another time. That's what I'm saying. Because if you think you have questions now and then you think I'll remember them, you won't.
I won't. No.
They're in the moment.
That's absolutely fine. I'm sorry if I just spoke over you then. My signal's just gone a little bit fuzzy. Hopefully it's all okay. We all right, yeah. All right, so have the most amazing day. Ladies who have been on, I can see you've been here. Naomi's been here, Stacey has been here, Bernadette has been here, and I'm sure you've been here for the whole time as well. So that is absolute true leadership, women. Thank you so much, women. That sounded awful. I didn't mean it like that, but it's when we can sit and we watch something and we take it, and I just love how powerful this work is. So thank you again. Thank you everybody that's watching this. Do not forget that you can take part in the expansive giveaway by sharing this. Tag your friends in if you think that they're going to be able to benefit, and come over to the Female Expansionist where we will be doing the giveaway and the celebration call. So if there's any questions, let us know.
One spot for my course. Yay!
Well, we've not told anyone the prizes yet.
Oh.
Make sure you're in it. Make sure you're in it, because
already.
So no, that's all right. So go on. What was it?
It's gonna be amazing.
The reason I've done it that way, and there's no hiding or anything, is because there's so many giveaways and competitions, and I always say it's you can win this, you can win that. But for me, this series is all about expanding our minds and looking at the beliefs that we don't already believe in, and knowing that it's on its way, even if we can't already see it. But as we take the action, the universe conspires to work with us. So all of the ladies who have commented, and we've got over, I think the last time I checked, we were in the 90s. So this is people who have entered. There are limitless ways to enter. So we have some that have duplicates, but these women are who are taking the action steps. They don't know what they're going to win, but they know every single one of you are absolutely incredible. And I'm sure they cannot wait. And whoever wins, whatever they win, I truly believe it is going to be the best fit for them at this time. And every single one of them are life-changing.
Yes.
So I didn't want to say what they were, because I didn't want people to go, oh, I fancy that, or I fancy this. This is letting the universe work.
Well, that makes all the sense. And plus, that is really trusting, because that's how it should be, because everyone, it's all in divine order.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I really wish I could put my own name in the quiz, because these giveaways, I've never seen anything like it. And honestly, if I was around and I was watching this now, I'd be like, I need that. I need that. Absolutely incredible. So thank you again, everybody. We are going to hop off now. Well, have the most amazing day. This was incredible. Thank you. Love you. Bye bye.